Welcome. Got a little story to tell. I'm going to start with talking about data accuracy and indexes. We're going to touch a little bit on addiction and how that's affecting the hobby. Discuss NFTs and what is the future of NFTs in the hobby, some of the messages we're hearing. Blend that in with a little hype. And are people pumping sports cards and NFTs? Then we're going to turn a little bit and talk about grading. What is the best grading company? And what are we looking for in grading? Get some numbers and some opinions from some of the influencers in the hobby on grading and what they're seeing and where we think grading is going. We'll also discuss a little bit about the grading lawsuit and some opinions and predictions from one of the largest sports card influencers. And then we'll close up with the secret way to get rid of Chris McGill in the sports card hobby. I had no idea, but he finally tells us here. And so anyway, sit back. Let's get into this. Let me start off here with, ironically, indexes and accuracy. This is a interesting video here from Cajun Cardboard. I will drop links below. It's about 3 minutes and 20 seconds into the video. He starts talking about Anthony Simons. He's Anthony Simons. My first thought is he talks about, and he shows you in this, and I'm not going to play this video for you. This is me commenting, and you guys can do your own investigation. But he talks about how the numbers are wrong. Like it says, Anthony is up 400%, and then he goes in here, and he shows you that that's not accurate. That, you know, looking at his cards, his top cards are up 48, 46%. So he even questions the index. Like, I don't understand, but their numbers are off. I have to, you know, I like my boys over there at Card Ladder, but their numbers are off. And just dismisses it and goes on. I bring this to your attention because this is not the first time I've heard numbers and these indexes, it's specifically Card Ladder, being wrong. I've also heard that they publish data as being, you know, in their database before it's actually sold and closed on auction sites, and that's per person in the auction business. You can watch the video on this spot, guys. But this data inaccuracy, I think, is a big deal because, first of all, I don't like indexes. I think they're all manipulating to show you what they want to show you. But when the indexes themselves are this inaccurate, but we just blindly trust it. So I left a comment on here and I said, you know, what if, you know, you trust Chris and Josh to human curate data and not to manipulate it? There's no third party that audits Card Ladder data. Why do you trust them? Just why? I mean, why? At what point do we just get stuck on why I just trust Chris and Josh? I know Chris and Josh. They're human beings. They're corruptible. If they weren't corrupted before, they could be corrupted in the future. I just think it irks me on this data and how we so naively trust it. And I'll see if, you know, Brian responds back in my question. I doubt he will. I've asked him and others, you know, if you're a Card Ladder person, press them on accuracy in these indexes and data. Why are they curated? They're the only ones who do that, guys. Every other data company in the world lets you just pull the data off of sold listings. Next one up, Dustin caused a lot of stir this week with his little, you know, confession about being a sports card addict. And I guess addict's not the right word, but he has a problem buying too many cards. My first comments, I'm not surprised because you never see this guy sell a card. I've never, in the 3 years following him, seen him sell a card. Like many sports card influencers, you never see them sell cards. I mean, I don't know if they know how. I'm just teasing. I know they know how, but I'm not surprised by this. What does surprise me, and I have this up here for you, is that why are you promoting drip then, dude? I got an addiction problem, man. You shouldn't use this addiction. Would you like to buy some Coke from the Coke dealer? I mean, drip is part of the problem with these selling platforms. They specifically hone in on your weaknesses. They target individuals like, you know, who are susceptible to over purchasing and stuff, with these auction styles and rushing you to make a purchase decision. They're the worst. They have the highest prices, no customer support. And I don't know about drip, but these platforms, you hear bad stories about them. So the irony in him telling us one day he's got an addiction and the next day and every day promoting drip and other tools that I just think, I don't know what to say, Dustin. Really? And I'm sure in your mind, justifying, well, I need them. I need the income to offset the expenses I have from buying too much stuff. Well, how about this? Stop buying and stop associating with companies that are going to make your habit worse. Like, I don't know. It's just a thought. I'd love your comments and feedbacks below. Also, another thing I'd quickly mention, because this does bleed in this. He starts us off with his Fanatics drops NFTs. Oh, my God. I like slab stocks, guys. I don't love slab stocks, but I like the guys, like Nate. I think they have some really good content, some really good insights. This video, though, caught me again. It's just like Dustins saying, oh, they're kicking out, Tops is kicking out digital NFT firm, kicking out, candy. A couple things here, guys. First thing I want to applaud Nate here for at least putting up the details and explaining that they're not kicking out NFTs altogether. Just standalone NFTs that are run by Candy, by the way, are being sold, because Tops has five projects on blockchains: Avalanche, Wax, Candy, Curio. Oh, there's another one. Anyway, my point is, this is one of five. It also goes on to state that their standalone ones are probably not going to work. I've always said that. The ones like the, mint 10,000 faces of a tiger that has different traits and it's a pretty picture NFT, that is a bunch of bullshit. But the NFT where you can redeem it and get something, that's valuable. And there's a lot of value in that, not just for you as a collector, but for the business. And I'm not going to sit here and explain that to you, but I'm thankful that at least he does bring that up. Now, again, in his thing, he does, he talks about he's happy that they're kicking out digital NFT or candy NFT. And again, I think it's overreaction. I should leave a comment here that I have a feeling that they'll be using, Nate here will be using digital NFTs within 3 years. And he won't even know it, and he'll love them. And he'll be like, oh, I didn't even know those were NFTs. The only one, honestly, who came out positively on the NFTs, and that's because, again, these guys actually use them. And this is, again, something else that bothers me about, content providers. If you're going to talk about something, go freaking try it. And can't just say that, is that a lot of these guys don't use it, and all their thing negative spins, like Dustin, like Slab Stock says, NFTs are being kicked out by Fanatics. Fanatics is getting rid of the NFT business. They're not getting rid of the NFT business. They're getting rid of Gary V's, candy business, which is a bunch of freaking. Anyway, the one thing I'll mention, do you want to bring this up, right? These guys are still running their NFT project. So it does make sense that they wouldn't totally poop on it. Now, me as a user in both their NFT project and others, I can tell you the differences. And I will tell you guys, your NFT project sucks. Okay, your NFT project is exactly why NFTs have a bad name. Because people get together and then they can mint a tiger with a bunch of pictures on it and make money, and then give value in cigars and I don't know what the hell else you do. Something else you call value, free slabs that you get from SG. Come on, just stop it. Just stop it. Stop it. You are hypocrites for being the problem and then not recognizing you're the problem and correcting the problem, right? I'll just leave it at that, guys. Come on, think about that. That's ridiculous. Again, I appreciate you defending the NFTs and making, again, I'll just say this, look, NFTs, Panini is going to have NFT redemptions this year. I'll leave it at that. Funko's already doing it. Wake the hell up. I'm tired of talking about it. Okay, let's turn a little bit. One thing I have noticed, talking about Luca Nation, and they're building their media empire, that's also discussed in the video, which still seems to be very silo focused on just sports cards. Like, they don't talk about anything else besides sports cards. They don't talk about Pokemon cards. They don't talk about Funko Pops. They don't talk about autographs. They don't talk about anything besides gambling and sports cards, but they're a network. Anyway, Bench Clear here, who's kind of broadened their reach, launch a new show. I think it's called, I can't remember the name of the show, Hobby Think Tank or something like that. I will say I enjoy these 4 content creators. Have followed their content. Danny's actually the newest to me, and I see him everywhere. Like, this dude, I didn't know he was putting out content, and now I've seen him. I met him at the Chantilly, and I think I've seen him on 5 different things since then. So he's definitely very active. I just didn't know him before then. Big fan of Mike, John Keaton. Interesting here. Let me bring this up. They start talking about grading companies, and what would be the best grading company. I've said this before, and I'll say it over and 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 over again. People just want favorable grades. Don't bullshit me with, I want it to be accurate, or they're the most consistent. Use all these subjective words like your politicians, okay? If you wanted any of those things, all that exists. It's 2023. We have enough technology to send shit out of the solar system. We can see things billions of light years away. I mean, dude, we can print anything with a 3D printer. You don't think we can't create a grading company that's accurate, that's consistent? It all exists. The reality is, Mike, the lesser Mike, as he's referred to here, which I don't like calling him that because I like Mike. Don't take this the wrong way, but you, sir, are a representation of what the problem is. And that is that you are ingrained in PSA. You give your description of what the grading company is, and one of his descriptions says, and the slabs would fit into my beast, which is his case behind him, which is custom made for PSA slabs. Listen to the irony in that. See, and what I mean by that is Mike is a great collector. He loves it. He collects. He's not a flipper. He's not an investor. He collects collects passionately. He loves the little crazy PSA registry set thing, and he's so invested in it. That's why he collects. He doesn't care if PSA is accurate or who they trim cards. As long as the cards that he gets in his collection that he has are real, good, and fitness lab, that's all he wants. And that's great. That is actually what I love about Mike and the hobby. But that's also why people like Mike will never accept the answer to this problem. You want the best grading company? Best grading company is a technology grading company, uses AI. Now, I'm not going to say it is Tag, but Tag would be on the path to that. If Tag were to standardize their grading, come up with the standards and make a white paper, not a I think I like sports card white paper by Jeff Luber or Josh Luber, but a real white paper talking about specs and requirements and minimum signature, blah, 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 blah. And then also shared that with the manufacturing company. Said, manufacturers, you need to make to this. And they agreed upon that. And then we had like this coming together of the industry. Then you could actually have legitimate grading of cards. Really could, man. Imagine that. But that's not going to happen, guys. It's not going to happen. Look, this industry, this card business has been going up 100 years the way it is. There's been several small innovations that have made their way into it. Very few. Don't expect there to be major changes. Grading is what it is. It's wizards doing magic in big high castles. Talking about grading brings me over to the PSA, the pop, what's this thing called? Pop count report or whatever that Gem Mint does, and Neo's comments on this. Neo has this thumbnail, is like blown away by 15 million cards, graded. So you got 12, 13, 14, yeah, 15 million cards graded. My question is, are we at the peak or is this the beginning? You've got to assume that 15 million is more than we did last year in 2021, right? Right. And this is not concluding all the other little grading companies out there grading. Let me tell you this, by the way. I spoke to a friend of mine who is at one of those little grading companies, and he's still grading. I think a lot of it is there's a lot of cards out there that we don't even think about in the sports card world. Let's add another million. Shoot, you could add another 2 million out there that we don't know about that are being graded. Is this the peak? I don't know. I'm hesitant to say yes. I don't think it is. I think next year could see more grading. I don't know. These companies need these numbers to continue, right? They're all betting on them in 2022. They're recommending declining numbers. So it's going to be interesting to see where this goes. And you see me grading Funko Pops with PSA, right? So will the grading increase? I will tell you why I think these two companies are the leaders up here. Well, actually, and I have to include Beckett for some of the things it does, is autograph authentication. They do the comic ones, right? I think that's very important. I think it's very, very important. The reason that I keep saying SGC, you need to do something there. Okay. Let's close with a few things. So Jeff did not put out his predictions. He's going to do it this weekend, which I'm looking forward to because I have this from last year, and he was wrong on most of it. It's funny, around this time this last year, we were all predicting, or everybody knew that Topps was going to get bought. I want to tell you why Topps was going to be bought last year. And no one seems to remember this. Why did Fanatics buy Topps and not Panini? We all know as collectors that Panini has the better licenses with football and basketball. They have the better product lines with NT, Flawless, Prism. Those are better brands. The only brand that Topps has is really like Chrome, Bowman, and Flagship, right? Their other stuff sucks. Let me explain to you why, guys. Topps sucked. It was a terribly managed company by a bunch of idiots. And I don't mean that to be mean to those people. They're human beings. They ran a company, but they were they lacked innovation. They were poorly run, poorly managed. It was a horribly run company. It was the worst of the manufacturers, the worst run company. That is why it was like, it was the weakest of the herd. It was a dying buffalo, and Fanatics ate it. Panini is a strong buffalo, man. Panini's strong. Now, a year later, Panini's definitely much weaker. But and the reason I bring this up is, when we look at the prediction of the future, Panini's not going to get bought. I said that last year before this, and I'll say it again today. Panini will not be part of the Fanatics empire. They might sell off some of the licenses or sell off some of the property, but they will be a standalone competing company, which is good. And I think we, the hobby, will lean more towards them in the future, which is going to be crazy ironic. So I'm going to sit there in a few years and go, remember when we hated Panini? And everybody's going to laugh. Next point of the prediction there is the alt BGS thing. Talk a little bit about this. I'm looking forward to see, look, I'd love to see how this comes out. Remember, it'll probably be appealed, right? Unless it's like flagrantly against alt, like they come out and say, alt, you're an idiot and get the hell out of here. and dismiss and charge them for legal fees. But I have a feeling that I have a feeling that the judge could actually rule in favor of alt, and Beckett would have to appeal. Because I just think to tell you, judges have no idea what the hell's going on. We all look at this, well, don't they know when they crack it could be trimmed? Rah, 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 rah. They don't. They have no idea. I think it's going to be interesting to see this goes. My point to bring this up is I want to again emphasize, guys, grading is still a bunch of magic. Okay. There's no liability in here. Now, this lawsuit could help us see liability. Now, just because PSA says they have a guarantee doesn't mean you get paid for it. Look at the problems that Ty went through just trying to get his card back, and he has to sign an NDA and all this stuff. Come on. Think about what grading is. It's a way to increase the value of your cards and you sell to the next person. That's it. Okay. Last comment I have here, listening to my two favorite chuckleheads on Card Ladder. And they told me, Chris McGill told me how to get him to leave the hobby. He says right here at minute 57, actually, let's go 56. I'm not going to play it for you. You guys have to listen to it. But he says, as soon as they do this, as soon as this happens, I'm turning in my collection and leaving. I'm getting him out, man. I'm going to make this happen. He asked for this wish. I'm going to make this happen. You guys listen to minute 56 here in the video and giggle with me. And anybody out here who can help me make this wish for Chris McGill happen, it will make me happy. And we can send Chris on his hobby retirement. He's going to cash in all his cards, he says, and he's going to quit collecting as soon as this happens. Oh, I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to leave you hanging there just so you go check out Chris's thing. And when you check it out, tell him ZiggyNo sent you. Have a happy new year, guys. How do you like this? This is a good conversation piece. I know people love to say all I do is bitch and complain. Well, I thought I'd tell you why I'm bitching and complaining. I'd love your opinions back. What do you think about these videos? What do you think about what's going on in the hobby? Where are the leaders?